Bingo bangos, what up?
Yes, that's the kind of energy. I like an above medium energy that then crescendos into a kind of scary volume where everyone in their car quickly turns down the volume, and then it's like, wait, what? And then they turn
Especially
it back.
if you didn't pick this episode, like maybe it's in your feed, like after you just listened to Lex Friedman or something, and then immediately afterwards we come on.
Keep on sounding, honeys.
I've found that I exit the podcast during the last 30 seconds of most of the shows. And then what happens then is that when I'm done listening to something, it goes back to those last 30 seconds I didn't finish. So sometimes I'm in the car and I'm just listening to a bunch of 30-second endings to 12 podcasts because I can't fiddle with the phone. It's hell. Hell is just listening to people's tour dates from 6 months ago.
Speaking of tour dates, I have I'm doing for my people out there. Oh shoot, clicking
People
thing.
out where?
For my people out by Raleigh.
Oh, nice. You got some dates?
Yeah, I have.
P those D's. Plug those dates.
The Graveyard Get Down. It's I guess I would just Google it. But it's October 14th through 15th, and it's like kind of a Halloween themed thing. I'm doing a half-hour psychedelic comedy set.
Nice.
There's going to be some bands there. It's just like a second year event, but it's like an outdoor grassroots kind of fun situation.
You gonna dress up?
What are we going to be for Halloween? We got to figure out I guess we talk about it afterwards and surprise people.
We got a surprise. I mean, perhaps we can throw in a Void and Visionary morph suit, like as a pre-Halloween throwback. Perhaps like we always do that a little bit.
Those are pretty amazing.
I mean, we did buy them as investments.
Yeah.
It's not a wedding dress.
That was one of our best investments of the show. They're like $14 or something like that for one of the most incredible looking things.
It was so fun.
Yeah, we got to do those again. It smushes your nose, but in the long run, you forget about how much it smushed your nose, and you remember how much fun that you had.
Like
on
life.
The episode. Yeah,
after we're done with these lives, we're going to forget all the smushing of our various finances, our relationship frictions, our physical inability to keep our bodies in the shape we wish we kept them in. Which, I mean, this episode, which we haven't said yet today about personal growth.
Yeah.
What does personal growth boil down to? Like financial health, relationship health, and like physical body health? What else is there?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, first off, I don't even know what it means, and I'm not sure anyone has the best working definition. And there's been personal growth things through. It's a subject that I don't know a lot about. I was looking through, various scales and surveys. We haven't done a survey episode in a while, and I realized there's a personal growth survey from a past guest of mine that I had on talking about personal growth. And I was like, well, this will be easy because I'll just listen back to that episode. I got all that information right there. And then I'll just spew it at Ramin. It'll sound like I know a bunch of things.
That's
and then
how we
I
do
listened
it.
to the episode and I was like, oh, I can't listen to this. It was like the early days of Here We Are.
Your voice is an octave higher for some reason.
Yeah, I hate myself today with all of the personal growth that I've had. I can barely listen to myself. I hate everything about me. And then I especially hate me 6 years ago. Me is the dumbest version of a thing that I already hate.
Hey, does it matter what different size beakers you use on the personal growth?
So I listened to this and I'm just cutting her off the whole time. And it's like a wishy-washy conversation anyhow. And I couldn't really pin down what the fuck she was talking about. I kept on interjecting with weird sometimes I would just have like fun ideas in my head that are unrelated, because I notice this in other people will do this. If you have like you'll do I toured around with stand-up science talk or whatever, other things like that. And what will happen if you end up at conferences of any kind, especially ones that are open to the public, inevitably when it comes to question time, there's always someone like that just want to like take the spotlight and just give a weird lecture about whatever the fuck their little pet theory is that has nothing to do with anything the talk was about. And then it was especially annoying. Like I built a nice cool psychedelic following of fun people that are sometimes a little too obsessed with psychedelics. So then they'd come back to see me at a stand-up science thing, and it'd be someone talking about like wolves or something like that, and the evolution of wolves, and then someone would be like, do wolves ever do anything like acid or what? And I'm like, what the fuck? God damn it. And it's just so disappointing. And then that's what I heard myself doing in this episode from like back, just like going off. I'm like, I know where that idea was coming from, and it wasn't from listening to her and asking a relevant question related to her work. And so then I just sat around hating myself. And that was my personal development, was me trying to get bored enough with hating myself that I stop caring. That's the best I have. I can't work on not hating myself less. I just got to sink into hating myself so much, so often that I'm like, old news, Shane. It's the best hope I have. That's my personal development plan.
Adjust to the water temperature.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that? I mean, do we just want connection? Is that why we're like we spit our little pet theories during
advertising? We love to think we're like super interesting.
McKenna was the best at that, because if you go and listen to his talks, people will just have questions that you can't even make sense of what they're asking. They're like, you should be clear about what is development in relation to time when you say that all matter ends in the energy of the moment. Can you answer this? And then he'll just talk about whatever he wants afterwards, and then say, well, my theory of time follows as three subjects. Well, you have the past, you have the future, and well, you have now. And what is now? And then he just goes off for the rest of the talk. So the key is just ignore the question and just go off on what you want to say then. That's how you beat it.
Yeah, McKenna should just been like, what am I, the clarity guy? What, you came here for brevity, did you? Clear, concise brevity, Terrence McKenna talk. That's what I'm
Well, the shortest sentence I've ever said was approximately 8,000 words. And you may be thinking, what are those words? Well, I started with the beginning of the alphabet. You've got things like alligators, apples, oranges in the middle, and you work your way towards xylophones and zebras and xenophobia, which is the hatred of other people. People refer to it as racism or lack of.
Can you clarify so I mean, the scale is super short. I just thought it was appropriate since I'm participating in Sober October. Have you let's go through, maybe let's do an update, because I'm now. So it's October 5th, the time that we're recording. Sorry to ruin I know that you hate that I ruined the illusion that this isn't live in someone's ears. Is that what you want them to think?
I do. We are neophiles. Some are cinephiles, some are bibliophiles, but most of us are neophiles. And if something
What's that mean?
We're obsessed with the new things. So if you see a video was uploaded 2 weeks ago, it's irrelevant now because so much has changed in the world. Like who knows what developments have taken place since then. It's all about now. Like, what did Kanye wear today? He wore what? He wore a picture of a Klansman's face on his shoe that he's selling for $1,000. His beats are still the best. I mean, I would say he's better than Mozart and Beethoven multiplied by each other. And if anyone doesn't think that is stupid.
Very good Kanye West fan impression. You just nailed it. I thought I was the only one that wasn't on the fucking Kanye train.
No,
Everyone
I don't get
just
it.
makes you feel like
I'd be happy to like it later, but
yeah.
so far it's all hobbles
you.
and gobbles to me so far. This doesn't swing at all. Now, Cap Calloway, there was a cat that could swing. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got no swing.
Oh yeah.
I love judging music by like the standards
Swing
of the
factor?
30s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, where's the swing to this?
So I'm almost 2 weeks deep into because I started sober October early. So even if people are listening to this late, by the way, if you think this podcast is irrelevant because you're listening to it a week after it was recorded, well, guess what? It was irrelevant at the time of recording.
Mm-hmm.
It was irrelevant before we started recording. It's an evergreen, timeless piece of irrelevance
It is.
that you get to experience. So you didn't miss out on missing out because you're missing out on all of the missingness of I wish I could easily snap into a Mike Kaplan.
I would love to have the most well-produced, least popular podcast.
We already have that.
Yeah, it's like
very
so much
close.
production value, and then people stumble upon it. It's like, why does this only have 36 listeners? Well, I guess I'm 36 because it said 35 before.
CGI happening. We research things. I talk to scientists regularly and then put together very complicated ideas to share. You're one of the funniest, most talented people on the planet, and like 30 people listen to this show. It's awesome.
And when we like just make a random comment about dinosaurs, our beautiful editor Matt McCool will make a CGI dinosaur from scratch and like have it animate a scene better than anything the Discovery
like
Channel
5 people
IMAX
throw
has.
it a like on Instagram. Like,
On a good
that's
day.
better than the 4 last week.
That was a good week, huh? 5 like week. I'll always remember that week. Like we can individually text our listeners and be like, hey, you forgot to like this week.
Yeah, we should. We have most of their numbers now after camp out. 100% of our listeners came to a camp out somehow, or we would have really been screwed.
That is one advantage to whatever it is we're doing right now. Because when you said you developed a psychedelic following, you kind of end up getting, a few stupidies here and there. If you're a really offensive, cancel culture wars type of person, you get those nut bags there. But then with us, like so far, we've got no bads in the bunch. All good apples.
People that are curious, they like interesting scientific ideas. They maybe fucks around with spirituality. Sometimes I guess there was like debates going on during the Camp Out Festival. Some people be like, are you a Ramin guy or a Shane guy?
Oh, really?
Like, which is, we should develop our own like survey scale to see.
And a voting booth too.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't, they told me to my face that they were both, which means they're probably a Ramin.
Oh,
person.
A couple said they were mainly you. And I was like, you can have them.
But I think it's the mix of, we have like the yin and yang ish thing going on with the compatibilities as well. But it draws, first off, I find just throwing the word science in on anything just draws like a pretty nice crowd, like not numbers wise, but just like the quality of people. That it filters big time.
Mm-hmm.
And then also with art and combining music and absurdity and comedy and all the things that we do, we have people that are smart, interesting, creative, often artsy,
good looking,
and don't take themselves too seriously.
No real uggos either. A good looking bunch.
I don't think there was too many uggos.
There was maybe like 3, but not ones that were directly related. They just stumbled in there.
Yeah. I mean, that's fantastic. We had a great gender ratio. It was like 50-50 at the camp.
Right,
that was
on the
another
dot.
big fear of mine. I was like, sausage party would kill us. If the first year's a sausage party, there's not a year 2. That's it.
We would just have to engineer a weather machine and make a lightning storm happen the first night.
Sorry, we had to cancel it.
Sorry, Brad, Andrew, Chad, Hayden. We gotta go home.
So yeah, I'm at the time I'm recording this, I'm 12 days deep. So by the time that listeners are hearing this, if they are participating along with us, they should be about 12 days deep as well, because I got the early start. I've had barely any cravings or withdrawals. I had dinner. I haven't been going out to eat either. I've been saving money since I no longer have any whatsoever.
Rice and beans, spaghetti and butter. What do you got?
A lot of Costco stuff. You know,
Like Costco full lasagnas and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got a lasagna today. Well, Banana's staying here she came back for a couple weeks to get some work done, and we went to Costco today. You know what I'm a fan of? Frozen pot pies, frozen chicken pot pies. Those are
feel like a medieval king.
Yeah.
Or not even, like, maybe not a peasant, somewhere in between. Like a high-rated blacksmith would have that for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see that article about what a peasant normally ate during the medieval days? And it looked surprisingly good. It looked like they were eating really well. I thought they were eating gruel, but apparently some article said they used to eat well.
Yeah, it's I just believe it or not did a medieval episode that will be coming out the day after this comes
Historian?
out. Yeah, historian that wrote some books on medieval times, and a lot of it a lot of stuff that turned into myth over time. There were no turkey legs. You know the thing, you go to go to like a Renaissance fair, and the main thing is like, well, if you don't get a turkey leg, you haven't even been to a Renaissance fair.
I thought that was the only thing they ate.
No turkeys.
And then the king had grapes.
Did not have turkeys.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of it was when Protestants or whatever started taking over. They wanted to separate them, so it was like, this is a new era. Those Catholics, those were the evil times, those bad Catholics, and that's how it just got. It's a period of 1,000 years, which I didn't know either. I thought it was like medieval times, like 100 or a couple hundred years. I know nothing about history whatsoever, like modern history. And
no, you know the
like,
large scale.
I didn't know it was like 1,000 years, which is just. And then there's just a lot of things that. Oh, here was a fun thing, because I was talking to her. She had built a trebuchet in her backyard.
I only know that as a font.
It's like the catapult with the like rope on it that also slingshots things.
Gotcha.
And so then we got talking about it, and she was talking about this one during some war. I guess there's like a movie made about this. There was an invading force showed up to this castle with a trebuchet that was so gigantic that the whole castle just surrendered immediately.
Nice.
And then the attacking thing was like, they were like, well, we
gotta use one.
we brought this whole fucking thing. And so they launched a few things. And then they're like, okay, you can surrender now that we got to use
That's so funny.
Would you get it? There's been a lot of horrific atrocities in human history, especially like the period of time, like the advent of agriculture and then the first kingdoms. When people first got to be kings, like, they didn't know how to handle that power, and it was horrifying. But that's a fun
Yeah.
I love that. As far as horrific acts go, that's a fun one that I'm like, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect them to not toss a couple over.
Yeah, you toss a couple.
Was it on fire? Or just regular, like, just boulders or something?
I think they were 2-ton boulders.
Wow.
That's a car. Yeah. And did some real damage.
I wonder what people sounded like back then, because you can never truly know. You can only know what people talk like about 100 years ago. Everything else is just hearsay. But was their voice higher? Was it lower? Did it sound cool? Did it sound like an annoying shrew? Because, you hear like how Abraham Lincoln talked like a tea kettle, and he had a high, like, Jordan Peterson voice. And it whistled a little bit, and no one could hear him at the Gettysburg Address. He had a whistly voice? He did, and Daniel Day-Lewis did a great job depicting him, because all the other Lincoln movies, he was like, I declare the end of slavery, because I am the alpha male, and I am big. And then the Daniel Day-Lewis one is like, God damn it all, I cannot take one more minute of this slavery. You will procure those votes. My God, man. Buzzard, what is he says, buzzard's guts. Buzzard's guts, man. You will procure me those votes. I am the president of the United States, clothed in immense power. But he's intimidating when he says it, because, like, the way it's Daniel Day-Lewis, he can embody anything, even a high-pitched, depressed guy voice that's trying to end slavery.
You want to hear a fun Abe Lincoln related story? There is, so I shouldn't mention these names, but I'm going to anyway, because we just established no one's listening to this overly produced show. I used to date this comic April Macy. Mm-hmm. And she had before that dated Gary Goldman at one point. We're Eskimo brothers. Well, they had a fight one time where what happened was, and April was super funny in this way. Like, she's very good at making fun of you. Like, I loved it. I love getting made fun of. And so I always thought it was hilarious, but not everyone likes being made fun of constantly. But
Gary Goldman is a depressed person, or maybe he's conquered it, but it's part of his brand is depression.
And one day they were driving to a gig, and Gary says to her, hey, do you think that I could play Abe Lincoln in a movie? And then she just started laughing hysterically. And then he got very, very upset. This is her telling of the story. So, whatever. He got very, very upset about it. And it turns out that it's always been his dream to play Abe Lincoln in a movie. And he's like defending it like, I'm not saying it needs to be a Hollywood blockbuster or whatever.
How old was he?
I mean, this is a long time ago.
Okay, if you're in your late 20s, early 30s, that's acceptable. But you can't dream about portraying old presidents as a grown person. You should just dream of not having a negative diagnosis at your checkup.
I mean, it's probably like 15 years ago or something like that.
Okay, just on the cusp. Give him a little grace period because he's a comedian.
I love Gary Goldman, by the way. And he's a talented comedian, and he's hilarious. Of course. I'm not mocking him, but this is an amazing story.
Because she was imagining him as like puffed out chest man, and he's probably a student of history and knows that Abraham Lincoln was the depressed president and like has terrible posture and is unsure of himself. And he's probably like, yeah, I could be that. And April Macy is like, oh, the guy on the $5 bill? Yeah, right. He's on the $5 bill. Is he the 5? I think he's the 5. I need more than once.
No. Isn't he on a coin? No, he's not on a $5 bill.
He's on the 5?
No.
Who's on the 5 then?
Isn't it Andrew Jackson? I don't know.
Jackson's on the 20. Jackson's on the 20.
You're right.
Abraham is on the 5 and the penny. He got 2. Abraham. Isn't that weird? We look at these strange papers all the time. They have weird occult symbols on it. The occult symbols, which we just either write off completely or get too intense with and become Nicolas Cage, and it's like the Illuminati is communicating to us through this eye of the pyramid.
Right.
And it's probably both. It's probably like it goes back to secret societies that know something, but probably not to the level of deviance that a movie portrays. That would be too fun. It'd be too fun if they had a magic eye that floats above a pyramid that knows everything. Yeah, it's probably just these apes that are stupid and have to go to the bathroom every day and get cancer.
Yeah, of course, that's what it is. And then the stories get grander over time because the best storytellers are rewarded in social circles.
But if you had to explain to someone what, like, okay, why are all these images on the money? Like, you can't even explain why the person is on it.
How did I, seeing it now, I'm like, that made me, I had to Google it. And then I saw Abe Lincoln's face on a 5, and I'm like, am I the dumbest person alive that I've been staring at this my whole life? And I thought it was Andrew Jackson or something.
Andrew Jackson's the 20.
I didn't actually think of
Andrew Jackson has some fun stories.
Holy smokes.
I think he's
was
the
he
guy
the
the guy that challenged.
guy?
Yeah, the dueling guy, and someone shot him, and since guns weren't as powerful as they are today, they're just little, like, musket powdered, like little tiny dented ball that like sometimes penetrates the skin, and it went in him and it stayed in him for the next 20 years. He just went back to work that day.
Yeah. You want to hear about American history? This is not the podcast for you. I shouldn't say I don't give a fuck. I would like to know more, but there's only so much you can know. And everyone, if you study history, it's like, ooh, I watched a World War II documentary. I'm big into history. That's what that means to most people.
And it's less verifiable, right, than learning about evolutionary biology. You can kind of piece that together, whereas this is all like we're studying written words by the victors, and it's whitewashed here, and this culture is erased, and so on. Yeah,
I mean, I should be cautious about like saying, oh, this thing that I'm less interested in than other subjects is an irrelevant subject.
But even
the
Dan
best
Carlin
ones are the ones that I am interested in.
Which they are.
Yeah.
But, except for mine. The ones I'm interested are number 1. You're number 2.
Yeah.
And then, what's his name? Yeah, Dan Carlin from Hardcore History. He'll preface episodes with like, well, we don't know what happened with the Spartans and the Persians. Like, there's no way we know this is the true story. But this is the main like story that goes around. So I'm just going to like embellish this and tell you this story. But yeah, of course, this is however many thousand years ago. We don't know. No. So he always prefaces it with that. He's not like, this is history. This is what happened.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's so much lost. And yeah, it's I don't trust it for the most part. But anyhow, here's how that story ended, by the way. I think that they got to a comedy club that they're both on together. And Gary like was on stage before April and like did material about how his girlfriend's like not supportive enough or something like that. And then she got on and just told everyone the story of what happened in the car.
Checkmate.
And crushed. And he just left. He yelled from the back of the room, "Find your own way home." And
that's not very Abe of him.
That's definitely not what Abe Lincoln
Abe would have given his carriage and walked home in the rain.
Yeah, he was very patient with his significant other, despite some issues. Which I wonder if that's even true, where they're like, Abe Lincoln's wife was a real Looney Tune. Oof, that guy put up with a lot.
Yeah, who knows?
Because that's the thing, right? Like
that
Abe
she was
Lincoln's
crazy.
wife,
Yeah, Sally did just something. Or no, I think maybe she was just played by Sally Field, and I'm remembering her as Sally. Her name was like Henriette Lincoln Logs.
Yeah. So I know nothing about history. I know nothing about personal growth, but I have this survey thing that I thought it'd be fun to do, even though I'm dumb and I don't know anything about it. I'm just,
it's the wife's name was Mary. Oh, that's boring.
So here's how this works for me. This is a 0, 1,
Right
2, 3, 4, or 5. So strongly disagree to, let's see, mostly disagree to somewhat disagree. So no neutral whatsoever.
I hate the no nooch.
To somewhat agree, mostly agree, and definitely agree. We both hate the no neutral ones. Son of a gun. All right, I get it. They don't want fence sitters.
That's the safest place to sit when both sides are at war.
That's true. Look at how safe that guy is sitting on that narrow fence in that awkward thing. I judged him at first, but he's alive and the rest of us aren't. All right, so who's saying that then if they're all dead?
See? The fence sitter wins again.
All right. So there is...
Like, for example, should women have the right to choose their reproductive health? Half. They should be able to, abort half the fetus.
Yeah, you got.
Or they should be able to take half the birth control every month.
Yeah, you should get just a perfectly balanced compromise.
If they're escaping domestic abuse, then they can stay in the shelter for half of the day.
Yep. Remember,
the perfect fence sitter position.
There's always two sides to everything, and the perfect, most objective, ideal truth is exactly that Goldilocks, right in between those other two crazy extreme positions that all issues have.
Mm-hmm.
So, number one, I set realistic goals for what I want to change about myself.
One.
Really?
I do stuff, but I don't know if I set goals. I'm struggling to think of whether I set these goals. What are these goals?
You are like very comfortable with yourself, like Sober October and stuff. You're like, I'm not going to change anything. Maybe I'll pick up a vice. I don't know. I'm doing good. It's like, I'm doing fine. Why would I? And like a New Year's resolutions, you're like, I don't know. I've played the guitar more often.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I think because it just, you think that the day is going to go differently and that you won't have the varying energy levels that just come with life. And then you just kind of accept that later.
Right. So I'm going to say, I think I'm a 2. I'm a somewhat disagree. You're a pretty strongly, not strongly agree. What is the thing? One more time. It's a little complicated. I have to calculate this on 2 different things as usual. There's like no easy one. You're a mostly disagree, not definitely disagree. I'm a somewhat. All right. Number 2, I can tell when I am ready to make specific changes in my life.
I'll do a 3.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I feel like that's why these 10 days or 12 days have been really easy for me. Even though any like one of the 4 things that I quit would be like near impossible at like many of the times that I've tried to do it. And it was just, I was ready. I had a long summer I worked very hard. I burnt the candle at both ends as hard as I possibly could.
You burnt it at the sides too. You like plugged in candles on the sides of the candle and burnt it from there too.
Yeah, I just worked all day, every day on the festival and the show and my other things, while also drinking and smoking regularly all through the summer. And then by the end of it, I was like, yeah, I think I'm done with all that. I just, everything about me feels gross right now.
What
and
are
it was
the
just
4
kind
again?
of easy.
Alcohol, cigarettes, coffee, TV, and games teach you.
And teach you. And then I also, for a bonus, took social media, which was just Instagram, off my phone. I was going to get quit coffee too, just to be just to give myself like a real challenge, because I felt the other ones were going to be like super easy. And then Banana decided to come back here to Raleigh to get some more work done for a couple weeks. And so because of that, she drinks coffee. I'm like, I can't do all the things plus have the smell of coffee in the house.
Oh, yeah.
So now all of my vice is going into coffee. So I'm drinking the most amount of coffee that
it's good for you. Deepak Chopra's brother said so once in like 2017.
Oh, Deepak Chopra's brother. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is he still like crushing it, or what's?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I think it's pretty, because what he's saying is true, and it's, I mean, maybe later it can be made into tools, but it's the type of, some might call it pseudoscience, or it's like spirituality meets, science meets mysticism, but it's the all one sort of ness, and it doesn't lead to stronger tools that we can use, but it gives you a feeling of like, yeah, we're all one. It's oneness. I mean, I can't make any mistakes. I'm part of the big thing. This is an oversimplification, but I think that's his talks and books and things like that. So that's something you can always be doing. You can always be playing the we're all one. But if it's like, okay, I have a new unified field theory about how to increase energy efficiency, then it's like, ooh, okay, you got to show us your math. But this way you don't have to show math. Just we're all one. I've got one variable and it's one.
I like that. That's I got to simplify things, because otherwise I got to come up with new things to say. I got to prep for a sloth episode after this. And even though I know more about sloths than most humans on Earth, I still am like, I don't know enough, and I got to...
Yeah, you like make new discoveries.
Yeah.
You have to beat the current knowledge of sloth. I think there's even been Deepak Chopra videos of like people asking him questions and arguing about infinity. Like there's someone I remember who is a physicist, and it's like, oh, are you talking about limited infinities? Are you talking about vector infinity? What are you? And he's like, no, I'm talking about just one infinity. You are infinity. It's like, I don't feel like infinity, and my research shows that you can only get to limits of, Shannon limits of density within the infinite scale. And then he's trying to talk, real science, and then he's like, no, you. Which no one can win. You can either just hold down your side of that.
Yeah.
But and I forget his brother's name or what he said about coffee, but I'm one of these people that if I hear a good thing about a thing I like, it's science. Blueberries are good for you, science. Chocolate has antioxidants and kills toxins, science.
Yeah, well, you got to get into Vizzies for the hard seltzers. They have antioxidants.
Ooh, oxidants are terrible for you. Oxygen is good for you.
Yeah, but watch out for those oxygens. Here's the third question. I know how to make a realistic plan in order to change myself.
No. One.
I'm going to throw down 2. A realistic plan. I'm a planner. I'm always coming up with a thing and figuring out ways to make it happen sometimes. But realistic, I always get like a fourth of where I'd like to be.
Yeah, fourth is good. Good batting average.
I aim pretty high.
Because I don't know if I've ever changed myself. Like when I'm looking back, I'll make stuff, I'll do stuff, but I don't think I've changed myself.
Really?
Sometimes I'm wearing glasses or a different shirt, but I'm not like, oh, I'm 300 pounds 2 years ago and now I'm this. Or like I used to not exercise and now I do. Or I used to be bad at calling people back and now I'm good at calling people back. I've been equally bad at calling people back my whole life. Same amount of medium workout energy, same amount of medium diet energy, and then like pretty good art productivity and low to medium finance ability.
Yeah. Yeah, the things that I'm bad at, that's stable for sure.
Yep.
But there's a lot of things that are roller coasters for me. Like I'll get in really good shape sometimes and then really fall apart, and then around and around it goes.
What stops that? I always my physical fitness is normally stopped due to like an injury or travel. If I travel, then that like throws me off the thing. Yeah.
Travel's really hard. And when I say really good shape, I mean, I guess I should say for me.
Yeah.
What I consider to be good shape, which is like exercising really regularly. Which I'm doing that this month too. So far, so good. Pickleball was closed the last couple days. Very disappointing. They're redoing a parking lot or something like that.
Damn.
But being active. Number 4, I take every opportunity to grow as it comes up.
0.
You're a 0 on that one?
I take every opportunity. of nothing. Opportunities are flying by left and right, and it's like,
Really?
please lift your hand and catch this opportunity, and I just like watch it go by, and then I
Maybe
write
you
back.
do.
I do, and I have to stop thinking about it, but like I'll think about emails I've gotten, like when, for example, K Swiss wanted to do a deal with me on like designing shoes and all this at a time when I needed money and stuff too, and I'm just in my head about it.
Yeah. To make a shoe?
Yeah, and I replied like a month late, and then it's like, yeah, that was a month ago. We move fast. This is over. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's
And you could
understandable.
have had it done in a day for them.
Easy.
You could have easily designed them the best shoe ever in one day, and all of your money issues would have. That's amazing. I do stuff like that, but I mean, I also, well, you know, just from working the like mind under matter, I'm like pretty good at like, ooh, here's a person that seems like they'd be good to partner with and work with and take advantage of this opportunity and jump at this. And shout out to Lakeside Retreats, by the way. We just had a mummy go there for the week. They took our advice. Remember when I said on the show, I'm like, especially go during the week because it's the same price, but you just have the entire place to yourself.
So they got a yurt just for themselves, and then
but then like no other, like usually during the week no one's in any of the other yurts. So
what about the paddleboard situation? Is that still there?
No, the paddle boards we
rent those.
Yeah, we got those. But there's
why don't they just have them?
There's paddle boats.
Yeah, there's paddle boats, but why don't they just have boards?
Because they cost money and things.
But you just have to buy it once.
Oh no, talk to Soup about it.
I don't know.
Why don't you have more things? It's already like a thing. They started Lakeside Retreats just because it's a beautiful property that they were like, we should share this with the public some. And so I think like and it hasn't been around that long. So if people don't do it more often, they'll probably just like, oh, we're not going to deal with this and just do events in this space instead. So get it while the getting's good. If you're in Raleigh, if I were you, tell them you're a soft rocker and we sent you.
Yeah, you can live like a king out there.
Oh, it's amazing.
Like that much land to yourself. Good God.
Yeah. I take every opportunity to grow as it comes up. I'm going to give myself
if I was.
3.
I would be Elon, Rogan, Steve Jobs, Oprah if I took half the opportunities.
Half
the opportunities, I'd be huge.
I think I take above maybe not. I'm being generous to myself since I shit all over myself and my identity and my past self at the beginning of the show. I'm going to give myself a somewhat agree on that question. I'm feeling generous. When I try to change myself, I make a realistic plan for my personal growth.
This is too similar to a previous question, and I will also give it a 1.
1. I'm going to give it 2. give a somewhat disagree. No, I come up with plans. I'll give it a 3. What the heck? Okay. Number 6 is I ask for help when I try to change myself.
0.
You're a 0.
Yeah, none of these are good qualities. This is actually an excellent mirror that I'm subjecting myself to.
I actively work to improve myself.
I'll give that a mid. I'll give that a 3.
So that's a slightly agree.
Yeah, I will say I'm trying to improve myself. It's just when it starts talking about like taking every opportunity, making a plan, measuring, then it's like that's all out the window. But there's like a general, energy towards like, okay, try to spend less time every day with regret. Like some days you're like, oh, I spent 2 hours on the phone. What was that for? That was stupid. I don't feel good. None of that stuck. None of it was worthy of the time. It was all gone. Or why did I eat that? It didn't even taste that good. Now I feel awful. Just you want less of that just over the long arc of time, but just no plan real.
Yeah.
Just kind of happens.
When you frame it like that, I'm almost going to give myself a 5. I feel like I'm constantly, like even after the festival, I have to, like, I didn't even have, I'm so busy right now that, like, the other day I was like, man, I actually ate a bunch of edibles because I was like, I feel like I should just have like a nervous breakdown, just a controlled nervous breakdown because I've been working so hard. I feel like I'm going to have a nervous breakdown unless I have it in this like controlled way and vent it out. It's a weird plan that I had. None of it worked. But I feel like if I had more time I just don't have the time in my life to be bothered with a nervous breakdown at the moment. So it'll just sneak up on me in a manic episode or something like that at some point.
Yeah. I mean, if there was the time, then yeah, have one every week.
I figure out what I need to change about myself.
2.
All right. I think I'm like a 4 in figuring out my execution sucks, but I feel like I'm aware of what I should change. All right. I am constantly trying to grow as a person.
Yes.
You're a 3 again?
No, I'll be a 4 there.
4? All right. I'm gonna throw a 5 down. What the heck?
Because think of how if you don't grow as a person, like you're stuck with your 2-year-old like egocentric version of yourself, where it's just anything that throws you off, you take personally. That person's your enemy. Like you're not listening to what they say, and then more time goes on. Like even when you feel right, it's about like, am I wrong here? Am I gonna feel stupid tomorrow because I'm stuck in anger? Don't look back in anger. I heard you say.
Well, even when I downward spiral, it's a lot of times because I'm like, even if I hit a bottom, it's like, it's going to feel so good to climb out of it.
Yeah.
Love a good growth. And it's so easy to grow from a very, very low bar.
That's where seeds need to be planted.
You don't have a low bar. You're more of like a steady. So you have to do the small incremental gains thing. I don't have the wherewithal or attention or patience for the small incremental gains, even though I know that it's the correct way to go about things. I need drastic dips and then drastic self-improvement, and that's how I operate. Hopefully, as I get older, that will even out.
I'm very conflict averse, not in that like I'm naturally passive aggressive, but I'm very keen to, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want legal trouble. I don't even want culture wars trouble. Like I don't even want online trouble that isn't legal trouble. I don't even want a splinter. A splinter will ruin my week. Like if I had a splinter in my hand from moving a bookshelf, that would suck. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Either. So I'm like always just kind of like, no. And one of those quotes about making your life boring so that your work is impeccable. Like I somewhat live by that, not really thinking about it, but when I heard that, I'm like, that kind of resonates with me. Like you're waking up around the same time and like eating the same thing for breakfast, same, all that stuff is stable. There's not crazy relationship problems, not crazy stuff exploding outside of you. That's boring. If people were to interview you, you're boring, but then you're making good work though.
Interesting. I don't resonate with that at all, but I
that's
get
your
it.
work though. Your work comes from a different place though.
Right. Yeah.
We wouldn't want that for you. We need you to get in trouble.
Yeah. I like getting into trouble. I know how to set realistic goals to make changes in my life. As always, some of these are a little repetitive.
I'll give that a 2.
2, nice. I'll give that, for me, I'll give that a 3. I'm getting better and better as I get older at that kind of stuff. I know when I need to make specific change in my life.
4.
Okay. I'll say a 2. Usually in hindsight, I'm like, whew, that behavior went on for a little too long, and you had friends trying to tell you that.
I will say with this show, I'm kind of puzzled as to, do we need to change stuff? Do we just keep going the course? If so, what do we change? That kind of thing. That's kind of hard to decide.
Yeah.
'Cause there's too many variables. Like, do we change the thumbnail and the title to help the algorithm? Is thinking about marketing even a thing that we should be doing? Like, I don't think Joe Rogan thought about marketing. And then you're like, no, these are exception cases from forever ago that already were famous. They've been around since the early days of it. Do not compare yourself to these like legacy media podcasters, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, what are we doing wrong? Like, should I be looking to the left on the thumbnail image? Stuff like
that.
I don't know.
Yeah, we've had some team meetings. We are making some changes on the show because there's so many things. There's things that are absolutely discouraging, not just like, of course everyone wishes they had more numbers or whatever, but there's things that the reality of the way some of the algorithms work on social media. Give you guys an example is, say we're doing reels or whatever, and McCool puts in these wonderful subtitles and everything in Ramin's font that are colored well, and the timing of them is perfect, and even throws in like an emoji or makes a word pop or whatever. So they're the best subtitles that you're ever going to see. And then we actually get the algorithm doesn't reward us for it, because if you aren't using the caption generating thing that Instagram uses or TikTok uses or whatever platform uses, if you aren't using their inferior tools to make a product that looks just like everyone else's dumb fucking thing, then it won't put it out in the algorithm. So we need to sit and go, I guess we need to make a worse product than what we have so that people will see it. That it's incredible.
What if this is our destiny? Because we talked about with the outhouse on fire at the festival, how it would be funny if every year the outhouse got smaller and smaller instead of bigger and bigger. What if our show gets worse and worse, production quality wise? The subtitles become.
It might have to.
Yeah.
It might be out of our control. We need to this is not this is not a financially viable show at the moment. Our original goals for what we'd be making in a year were about 4 times what we are making right now. A year and a half later,
sorry, past selves.
we just had and so we are making some. One thing that we learned is we're putting so much time and energy into content creation, more than our audience even has the time to listen to or whatever. We have so much bonus
There's
content.
a lot of episodes
that a lot of people can't even keep up. And what happened was early on before we were going to start the show, what we were going to do was every other episode was going to be public and every other episode was going to be on Patreon. And that's how we are going to pay for the show. And then we had a focus group and a couple of people are like, I don't know if I would like that. If I listened to a podcast, I would feel like let down if I didn't get to hear, like, I'd be excited to see the next one. And we took that to heart and we were like, well, I guess to encourage people to join Patreon, then we'll just make a bonus episode every day and then another bonus and then another bonus for this tier. And then a year and a half later, anyone that's like discovering this show now, there's like just for more content than anyone could possibly get through. We don't need more content. So we're shrinking the amount of content that we're doing. A special announcement for you guys to focus our efforts on making the festival better and financially viable so we can do it without losing money next year. In fact, we need to make money so that we can continue to do it. And then also we're focusing. We got some help with some marketing. Maybe we shouldn't say his name just yet. But one of the great things that came from the camp out is a lot of people have volunteered to help us in various ways, and they want to see us succeed. So we're in a stage now where we're reevaluating everything, and there's a lot of things that we can do on the marketing front and tweaking things to accommodate the algorithm gods.
We're going to be doing one gold episode a month about gold so that we attract more listeners that are interested in gold. So the next year it's like, I work in gold. I'd love to help you out. Here's some gold bars. And then we're like, we love gold. And then we go take it to the exchange place. We're like, how much is this worth? And they're like, this is worth $100,000. It's like, yes, throw that towards the debt. Throw it towards the debt of the show. We got to get it to gold. People that like diamonds, people that like Ethereum, or what is stupid bullshit that people like.
Yeah, all sorts of there's unlimited amounts of dumb shit that people are into. But we also just need more time because one of the ways to make this show more successful is for me to be doing stand-up regularly again, and for like us to have time for other projects, like Mind Under Matter book that we've been wanting to do, guided ruminations app, like all sorts of all of these other things that Ramin and I have these great ideas about that we're excited to do, and we simply do not have time because we've with this show just been like, just keep on cranking out tons of so much so that people are like, yeah, I don't even need another bonus art episode, a personal episode made specifically for me. So we'll post a thing on Patreon and be like, hey, who wants an episode made for them? And people are like, we already have one. Thanks, guys. And so
isn't that funny? Like having a mail-in show where it's like, today's letter is from same person as last week.
Same person as, and so it's like, which is basically the thing is like we were just making more of a thing that there wasn't as much of a demand for. Whereas when we talk to listeners about what they want more of, they want more like of the game nights and Zoom meetings and things like that I've been doing, and the camp out debriefs and those sort of things are something that people are really interested in. And I like doing those things too, and they don't require the same amount of prep work. They don't require the money and time and resources of the editing and social media stuff that we need to do to accommodate that. So we're making a few changes. So there's going to be 3 public, starting in November, there's going to be 3 public episodes a month with a bonus, with the 4th episode a month being a bonus episode week on Patreon, and then 1 Mind Under Art episode a month. So only 1 person a month gets one, and we're doing that to trim the fat a little bit so we can put energy into other aspects of what we're doing, in the hope that we're going to grow this podcast. And my goal is by the end of the year that we're going to have double the listenership, Patreon support, or iTunes reviews that we have right now, because that's not that high of a bar, because we have nowhere but up to go from here. So spread the word. We're making changes. And yeah, it's like we offered and tried to make changes and do, maybe if we also offer this thing and this thing. And I was like, well, just support things that you like. Otherwise, they start going away. And that's
and this
the
is an
reality
interesting
of life.
marketing strategy, because I don't think I've heard shows talk about like needing to do better. Like every show I listen to is just like, we're killing it. We're growing every month. Every month is killing it. And then we're like the steady boys of comedy.
Yeah, I mean, and at the same time, we just had this camp out that was absolutely amazing, mostly because we got to meet a bunch of our listeners. And 100% of the people that I met were awesome. I'm sure there's a couple duds, but I didn't meet those duds.
There weren't.
And everyone became friends, and the quality of the people that we draw is awesome. And there's just only so many awesome people in the world that we need to find, but there's plenty more to be found. So that's what we're doing, is focusing more of our effort on finding new listeners rather than trying to crank out like a whole bunch more stuff that no one's going to listen to anyway.
Maybe get on Twitter again and like, I don't know, start causing controversies or something.
Yeah, I need to start yelling at people again.
Yeah, just yell people again. Let's just see what happens. Let's test the waters.
I just got so tired of like arguing with people constantly.
Yeah, it's a losing man's game. It's a losing every gender's game, but you identify as male, so it's a losing man's game there. But just as a test, like there's always something different we could be doing, because
there's always something different we could be doing. And this allowing for this time, because a lot of what we haven't done is get on lots of other people's podcasts to promote this show, which is what we need to do. But we started during COVID, and I was especially COVID conscious, still am more than the average person. But because of that, didn't go to like New York and LA as much as I normally would have, because I wasn't touring and everything else. And so now if I start touring and I start doing other things like that, that'll help this podcast grow. But after the festival, I was like, good, now I'll have time to do stand-up and do these other things. And I haven't. I've been just as busy after the festival as I was before, and I simply cannot keep up this pace for no growth in my life. So,
but people need me to research sloths for 8 hours, otherwise they won't listen. Just make up sloth facts.
Yeah, that's something that I can sometimes rein in, but I'm pretty good at. Also,
we don't know what our potential truly is. I think it's unlikely that our potential is the current listener number, but also it's like maybe this perhaps is not meant to be 600 million people listening to this show. Perhaps it's meant to be like 1.2 million people. And that's the cap or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. It's a good show. It's a high quality show that we need to find. Like, when we have high quality listeners, so we just need to find more of them. But
what if there's only a million high quality people? But I guess a million is a good number. Million still works. Million is like it means a lot to anything. Like even the Mitch Hedberg joke of or I guess that's not a million, it's about 2,000. I like rice because I like to eat 10,000 of something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, I don't think it would take that much to get 4 times the Patreon support that we have now. And then that's a sustainable show. So we just need that to happen.
Hope this is interesting though, because it just occurred to me, like, the people that are listening right now do not want to hear about the non-listeners not listening, because who cares about the not listeners? They'll get here when they get here.
Yeah, it's always like it's like when you complain about when you're doing stand-up and you complain about the small number of people in the room,
the empty row up front. Yeah, that's the worst.
Making those people that actually showed up feel bad about it or whatever.
That's the worst.
But then there's a balance too, because we from the very first episode, we've shared with our listeners behind the scenes thing and our planning and our decision making and everything else.
We've been candid.
So we're just putting our energy into different things. I haven't had a game night. I didn't have a game night all summer. I didn't have like a group overshare or any of the other things that I did all summer. And then after the festival, we had 2 like fest debriefs, and I was like, oh, this is so much fun, and people like them, and I like doing this, and I just haven't had time. So we just need to make more time to have more offerings of things that people actually, that there's a demand for. And then once we have 4 times the listenership that we have now, and people are like, we're out of mum content and we need more. We already know that we have it within us to make plenty more bonus episodes and everything else.
Truth,
if that
facts.
demand grows. So number 12, we're almost done. I use resources when I try to grow.
Resources? I mean,
like Fitbit,
yeah, I mean, resources,
or friends, or like, family, or new technology. You watch a lot of YouTube videos.
2.
I feel like that.
I'm at 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll try to use a new app, and then I get tired of it in 3 weeks. I buy a planner. I don't use it at all. Get a calendar. I put 2 dates in it.
I'll give me a 2. I reach out to friends a lot. I mean, I'm a big sharer.
That's good.
But I don't ask for help usually until I'm in a dire situation.
I feel like even then I might not. Who knows if the survival instinct kicks in. But sometimes I wonder about, like, people that get a heart attack and they die. Or no, they don't die. They live because they call a number. I'm like, if I had a heart attack, would I think to call the number, or would I just try to ride it out? And then my spirit just floats out of my body the next moment. Like, uh-oh, I should have called. Now I'm stuck in heaven.
Oh, shoot.
Just kidding, hell. Just kidding, 3rd place.
I know steps I can take to make intentional changes in myself.
0.
Boom. Let's see. I'm a 2. I mean, I think I should be giving myself higher marks because I change wildly like crazy, but not always for the better. So 14, I actively it's like the same question.
What do you
I
think
actively
about
seek out help when I try to change myself.
0?
Okay.
What do you think about an episode that we film from the future? Like, I can wear a Geordie LaForge visor, and you can have like a futuristic cyborg space helmet. We'll wear silver reflective clothes, and we record an episode as if it's a few years in the future and we've met these goals, and like we pretend as though like we became our better personal growth selves, and then in a few years we get to compare, like, did we become that or not?
And so we don't release it for a few years. We just have it like in a vault until
we
that
could
time.
release it. I mean, I could go either way. It could be in a vault, or we could release it and then we'll have to stick to it because we've already released an episode from the future, and then we have to think like, how do we become those future selves that are Zimin and Zaman? They've got what they want. They reach their goals. They have new goals. Now they're worried about the space station, and like how having like 100 porta potties be lit on fire in the space station is like really a bad idea. Space Soup doesn't want that. And then we're like, shut up, Space Soup. You gotta let us set porta potties on fire. We've got the force field, all that.
Yeah. That'd be fun. I'd like
We have
that.
to
I
act
also like
during
things that are like in a can and then delivered. Like we have a Commante de Buffon thank you video that
like an hour, right?
Only 3 people have seen it, but it's this epic riff that we go on that is very funny. And it was made, a year and a half ago, and it made it like the very beginning of this show. So if you're Commande de Buffon, you get it. And it's absolutely ridiculous, but it's also us making this message like a year and a half ago, not really knowing what the show is going to be. We had a pretty darn good sense of what this show is going to be from its inception. We built a thing, and like we've made even the tweaks that we're making right now, like to us they're like big changes just because it changes our processes. For the listener, it's not going to be that much of a change. I think hopefully it'll be an improvement in our process.
The listener's going to be like, you changed the subtitles? I didn't even notice that there were subtitles.
The amount of like finagling with various trial and error nonsense is like, oh my God, it's such a... it would be nice to just have a bunch of people subscribed and spreading the word so we didn't have to figure out weird algorithms that punish you for a high quality product. And not having a big loud word that's like feces spaghetti, and people are like, what's feces spaghetti mean? Oh, watch it, but I'm gonna watch it with the subtitles first, and like trying to get in the mind of someone that like will click on feces spaghetti to watch a clip. It's like, what a nightmare.
Yeah,
it's this,
and we don't want the people that'll click on that. You should know what that's going to be.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
they actually make a good one back in Italy. No, they don't.
What were you going to say something?
I doubt it.
It doesn't matter. I look for opportunities to grow as a person.
Yeah, give me a 4.
All right, I'm gonna.
I don't take them. I look for them. I look in the fridge. And then I close the fridge.
I'm going to give me a 4 as well. I almost gave me a 5 on that one. I know when it's time to change specific things about myself.
1.
It's time. Yeah, I'll probably give me a 1 as well. So there's 4 categories. It's readiness for change, planfulness.
Planfulness? That's not a word.
They call it planfulness. It struck me as odd as well when I first heard it. Using resources and intentional behavior.
Intentionalfulness.
These 4 categories of personal change. So we'll add all this up. And by the way, the link to all of this, you kind of have to do it by hand, but the link to all of this is in the description and show notes. But really, you might want to head over to mindunderpod.com to get all of that. While you're there, take a look at our amazing merch shop. Make sure and sign up for our email list for when we launch tickets for the camp out, because we are thinking. So we're tentatively, it's September. It's not tentatively, it is going to be September 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th of next year. The 14th being a Patreon day. So
but don't stop listening yet. Day. We looked at our analytics for the first time, and we saw like on the chart, like people are listening to the whole episode, and then the last minute it just ski slope water slide drops.
We don't want to hear them tell us what they need to make this show continue to exist. Delete. I'm just going to take
it's still episode. It's still content. Regular. I'm trying to tell them it's still regular
now.
episode.
That's why I'm sneaking it in mid-roll.
Good.
And another thing is, people are like, "Oh, just add ads." You don't know, the ads are not a viable way to make money as a podcast.
It's not 2015 anymore.
The way ad companies got very excited in the beginning of podcasting when they worked in big shows for a little while, and then they're buying up everything. And then a few years in, they realized that every single podcast number was miscalculated, because every time someone paused and then like hit play again, it was considered like another play. And once they corrected for that, it was like, oh, every podcast has like a fourth the listeners of what they were telling
Fuck
advertisers.
whoever fixed that.
And then
Whoever fixed that should rot in hell.
and then they're like then they need offer codes and these mid-roll now if you put an ad in and a listener, so the listener's like, oh, I'll just endure listening to you sell some stupid product and that's how I'm helping you. Like, no, you would need to buy that product so we can get a tiny sliver of it. That's how the economics of that all works. If you just fast forward through the ad, now that's data that they have shit on. So you could just give us $5 a month instead of spending $50 a month on some garbage supplement that's actually bad for you. But it's hard to convince people of that, and I'm not complaining. But
yeah, you won't even take the supplement. Those athletic greens are just going to sit in the top of your pantry, that weird green dust that you mix with water once and like it clumps up and you're like, I guess I'll...
It does nothing for you. It's stupid. And
maybe it does. I don't know. I've never tried athletic greens.
Yeah, I bet it's
I mean, it might
garbage.
just be spinach and magnesium and stuff. That's fine.
Yeah, but I also bet it's garbage and overpriced.
$39 a cup? That's not overpriced.
I bet it helps nobody, except beyond a placebo effect. But you have September 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. So one of the things that we're thinking about doing is figuring out a way on either Patreon or early ticket holders, maybe releasing tickets early for like a first 50 to 100 people or something like that being a part of the Camp Out Council. So then I'll start having regular meetings.
The Klingon High Council. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Then you can help us plan next year, which people have seemed super, super interested in. So figuring stuff like that out. So join our mailing list by going to mindunderpod.com and sign up for that. We'll keep you in the loop. And now let's get to some calculations. So I have...
The moment you've all been waiting for a year and a half since the inception of this show.
So you have a 2.5 for readiness, and I have...
Higher.
No, we have the same.
Oh.
We have the same readiness. 2.5 for readiness. We're the average boys of readiness.
Oh, so average.
Then
we show up just late enough that we don't get a text. But the person that is waiting on us is composing the text, but they haven't sent it yet. And then I come in, I go, sorry, I'm late, traffic. And then you're like, this is a Zoom meeting. I said, well, I was at the vet, and the vet is up north.
You have, in planfulness, you have a 1.
Good.
You got a 1.
Snake eyes. Snake eye.
I have a 2.5.
Nice. Must be nice.
Actually a little lower than that, like 2.4. Let's see. For using resources, I have 0.5. I have like 1.3. And then you have a 1. We're both pretty bad at that. Asking for help, seeking help. I had a Fitbit for a while. I might throw it back on one of these days. But that counts, using apps and things, that helps.
What do Fitbits do? Health and, not health, steps and heart rate?
Yeah, steps, heart rate, just like nudges and stuff through the day to tell you to walk more. It'll track most things. Like there's
if one more thing nudges me, I will throw it against the wall. I think that's a problem and it's one of my irritabilities. Like, yeah, just like I'm trying to find some focus and then like I'll get a text with like just 2 question marks because someone hasn't gotten a reply from me in 2 weeks. Which they have every right to send me 2 question marks, but I'm like, motherfucker, I'm trying to focus.
Yeah. Well, sorry for those question marks.
Oh no, that's not you. Because like I think if I didn't reply to you for 2 weeks, like the show we would have problems. That's different.
Right. For intentional behavior, I am 4.25. That's
Good
my
work.
highest one.
Good work.
You're 2.6.
Good work, my highest
that's
one.
above average, which is kind of like sort of the premise of some of the show. I mean, Mind Under Matter's much about the subconscious and whatnot, the stuff going on underneath the surface, but it's also about getting shit done without ever believing in yourself, which I think that we've demonstrated in this show. We've very, very clearly, neither of us believe in ourselves or anything that we do, but we still do quite a bit and put out like an awesome quality product, and like we have a team of people that believe in us and all sorts of help. And by the way, some of you in the flurry of festival planning, I didn't get back to you. That some of you that wrote, some of you offered some help with social media. We're now in a place to get some to delegate some social media responsibilities, including like TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, things like that. So if anyone's interested in interning and getting a few hours a week and us maybe figuring out some perks and stuff to offer for that, write us at mindunderpod@gmail.
And .kizzy. Do they say that for calm? Sure they do.
And yeah, and also if you just have you heard all of the changes that we're possibly making, and so if you have ideas of things that you would like what would, if you're not on Patreon right now, or you're on Patreon and you'd consider contributing more if we did this and that thing, let us know what that is, because it's not, we've learned that we have tons of bonus content. You don't need more of that, so we can instead add other things like meetups, which are super fun for us to do. So any other ideas like that, that's a wonderful blind spot to discover. Like, oh, you mean we don't need to go through the hassle of editing all this, and instead can just like have some fun meetups and chat with you guys from time to time?
Yeah, what if there doesn't need to be a show at all? What if it's just meetups? Like there's a festival and a weekly meetup, and we never even needed to do a podcast at all.
I mean, yeah, because I certainly don't want to sound like discouraging, because we just had this amazing festival, and your projections, we're filled with we've been injected with enthusiasm for this show, which is why we're making some of these changes to help it become more successful than it is.
Yeah, and when you said that our goal was to have 4 times as many Patreons and 4 times as many listeners or something, that was like a high goal.
Oh yeah,
and it was based in nothing. I think we even have audio evidence of me being like, oh, okay, that's kind of lofty. I have 0 goals. I have a goal of just us watching it and not our parents watching it. That's all I want.
Yeah,
just us to see it and no one to watch it. But we at least still have our awesome editor. We still have our McCool. We still have our banana.
Yeah.
We just want to be able to give them more. We don't want them to just be drinking piss forever. Our goal was to just have them drink piss for a year and a half. And now we're like, now it's like, okay, we can't have them drinking piss forever.
And I'm invested out. I spent a year living in my parents' basement and eating free food and not paying rent and investing every bit of royalties and any money that I have into this show. And then also lost a bunch in a first-year festival, which is a great investment because we're going to have a lot of success in the future, and everyone loses money on a first-year festival. It's fine, but I am invested out in things. I have nothing else to invest, so I need to be doing stand-up and other things that actually pay me money.
Keep it clean, then you can syndicate it and like get lots of money. Oh yeah, do a dry bar comedy special.
Yeah, that's all the rage these days. I got a lot of things that I'm working on, and this is also by the way, I don't even want to this is all coming on the back of some rather good news that I got recently, which is a project that I've been in talks with for some time. There's now a contract being drawn up.
Yeah, keep it from getting ripped up. Gotta keep it secret, but it's good.
Yeah, but it's awesome, and I need to start prepping and planning tours around it and some other things like that. So this all good news, and then and that will also help this show, and we'll continue to grow together. So thanks for taking the ride and the journey with us through our personal growth episode, talking about also the growth of this podcast. I hope you guys, if you guys are participating in Sober October, even if you failed or anything else, or you're embarrassed because you failed or anything, or you're struggling with it, get on Discord and share your story. There's a lot of people sharing some awesome stuff on there. And until next time,
keep on salivating, honeys. Ding.
Thank you.